Good morning from Medicine Lake Campground in the Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming.
It absolutely downpoured last night, and so it's taken me a little while to get motivated to pack away the wet tent. I'm also feeling a bit of, tiredness? Fatigue. Fatigue is what I'm looking for. I think I'm just going to take an easy road day, go see some big mountain passes, and maybe even find a hotel for the night. Who knows? 9 o'clock, 52 degrees. I'm sure it's going to get a lot hotter.
I just wanted to see the bike before you left. Just taking the summer off?
No, just 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Dude, you're a savage.
Do you want a sticker?
Absolutely. I've got a KTM 525.
Okay.
And I'm looking to get a bigger bike at some point, do some longer riding. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this is sick. My wife is gonna love this.
One of the great parts of travel is the people you meet along the way. I'm not a terribly gregarious person, but I've noticed that I tend to meet a lot more people when I travel solo. I suppose this is because one person is easier to approach than a group. I am still on Section 7 of the Wyoming Backcountry Discovery Route. It is definitely a beautiful way to pass through the Bighorn Mountains. It has pine forests and canyons and sagebrush-covered high plains. It really gives you a sense of the vast open spaces in Wyoming.
Wonder what this is all about. Any different?
Just at the horizon is Shell Canyon. Talk about an office with a view. I wonder if these magnificent landscapes ever get old, or at least a little less special. I opted to head west on Route 14 toward Graybull. I didn't trust that there would be gas available to the north in Burgess Junction after yesterday's fuel hunt. At this point, I didn't have any concrete plans beyond visiting Beartooth Pass. But at this pull-off, I ended up talking to a mother and daughter from North Dakota. They recommended Montana 200 and Teddy Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. I hadn't even planned on heading into Montana, but taking B roads was way more appealing than riding on Interstate 90 forever. This lovely bit of pavement is where Route 14 descends from the Bighorn Mountains through Shell Canyon. And I have completely missed a nice waterfall a little ways back. So if you ever find yourself here, have a look for Shell Falls. I saw a sign for Dinosaur Footprints on the side of the road, and I couldn't resist. The fact that it's a little ways down some excellent dirt roads is even better.
I'm at the Red Gulch Dinosaur Track site, and I saw some little three-toed footprints in the preserved rock. I think this is a dinosaur footprint. So here's one. And then another. Then another. Then another. And I think I lost the scent. I only saw this at the last second and veered off the highway and went down 5 miles of nice dirt road. Cool place. Hot though. Real hot. I don't know how they found that in that little piece of exposed rock. Archaeologists? No. What are they? Paleontologists. Paleontologists are a determined bunch. 5 miles back to the main road and go get some brunch? Yeah, brunch.
I found fuel in Grable, but decided to look for food farther west in Cody. Along the railroad tracks are some great murals on the grain elevators. One of the simple pleasures of these big open spaces is being able to see the cloud shadows on the ground, and then riding through them. On the horizon is the Absaroka Range in the Rocky Mountains, and the limit to western progress for this trip. I topped off the fuel tank and got some lunch in Cody, Wyoming, but completely missed the historic Main Street. I headed north out of Cody toward Chief Joseph Highway. This is near the route taken by 700 Nez Perce and their 2,000 horses led by Chief Joseph while trying to evade the U.S. Army in 1877. General Samuel Sturgis, yep, the same one they named a motorcycle rally for, was waiting to intercept them at the base of the mountains. The Nez Perce scouts saw this, so they stirred up dust with their horses to make it seem like they were headed south toward the Shoshone River. They then headed back into the forest and took the narrow, steep-sided, Dead Indian Gulch down to Clark's Fork River. This allowed them to pass unopposed into the plains, where they would continue to evade the U.S. Army for another month or so. At the top of the pass, I met a couple from California touring on a BMW, and they immediately put an Adventure Piggy sticker on their pannier. The road west of Dead Indian Pass is spectacular, with flowing turns, hairpins, and incredible views. And before long, I had caught up to my new friends on the BMWs. I would end up spotting them a few more times along the road today. I had to stop for a look at the Cathedral Cliffs.
How do they know they were going to be exactly here? Hey guys.
I have just turned on to Beartooth Highway, which has been lauded as one of America's finest motorcycling roads. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. It climbs slowly through the Beartooth Mountains, past many pristine blue lakes. As the road climbs, it gets steeper and windier. And it was getting quite windy toward the top. I've made it to the top of Beartooth Pass at 10,947 feet.
There's a marmot! Lots of marmots.
Oh a nice marmot.
I'm at the top of Beartooth Pass in Wyoming. Oh, what a road. What a view. Look at all that snow.
There's those BMWs again.
Ooh, windy.
Not my favorite feeling. Welcome to Montana. From the Montana border, the road descends 3,000 feet in 12 miles with an average 10% grade. The road is nice, but the views are spectacular. While descending along Beartooth Highway, I could see a dirt road hugging the edge of the mountain, so I needed to see what it was for myself. It's called Hellroaring Road, and it's a lot steeper than it looks. The steep, loose rocks were a little more excitement than I was looking for at the moment, so I decided to turn around, and pulled off one of my most graceful U-turns of all time. The descent turned out to be just as sketchy, so it was probably for the best that I didn't keep going. When you aren't comfortable or in the right frame of mind, it's much easier to make mistakes. It turns out the bridge was washed out a couple miles up the road anyway. Not content with returning to the pavement, I decided to wander down the dirt road passing through the valley. It runs along Rock Creek and has quite a few dispersed camping sites. And the torrent in Hellroaring Creek that washed out the bridge above also took out the culvert here. The Forest Service has bulldozed a temporary creek crossing to keep the road open. It also looks to be a little swimming hole. You can see all the rocks washed down by the flooding here. Here's another temporary measure to keep the road open. This is all from the big flood that devastated the area around Yellowstone in June of 2022. I continued along the Beartooth Highway toward the town of Red Lodge, Montana. I was hoping to find an electronics store of some sort, but all I found was the most Montana Sinclair station I could imagine. The purpose for this side quest was that my phone had completely stopped charging today, which I thought was due to getting wet when riding past one of those big irrigation crop circle machines yesterday. I thought that I had broken the charging port and needed a wireless charger now. Oh hey, there's those BMWs again. I couldn't find anything locally, so I decided to head north to Billings, which is a real shame because this would have been a great town to spend the night. It was a hot and unremarkable ride up to Billings, where I figured out that the brand new charging cable I bought for the trip had failed, which is disappointing because I could have found one in Red Lodge and stayed in the mountains. I was completely uninterested in staying in a larger city, so I picked a small town to the north called Roundup that had a well-reviewed motel. I mean, how can you resist a town called Roundup, Montana? The Tenere's thermometer was still reading 99 degrees, but it was nice to be moving through the unpopulated countryside again. Welcome to Roundup, Montana. It's a very picturesque little western town, but I was totally worn out at this point. I just wanted a shower and some AC. Unfortunately, the motel I was looking for was full, so I had to settle for a place down the road that was not as nice and much more expensive. I was warned that the water here wasn't drinkable because the well is in an old coal mine, and salts are leaching into the well. Anyway, here is the second best motel in town, complete with a mini fridge that leaked onto the floor all night. I rode 359 miles today. Sadly, I have to start heading east tomorrow. I have 5 days to get home, and I plan to avoid as much of the interstate system as I can. If you're still here, thanks for coming along, and stay tuned for the long ride home, with little roadside attractions along the way, of course.